Okay. Welcome to Zone 864 Live. Welcome to Zone 864 Live. I am your host, Zone. And just getting some things together here. We are just getting some things together here. Okay. So we are simultaneously streaming. We are on YouTube. We are on Rumble. And we are on Instagram. Okay, so if you're watching us on YouTube, Zone 864 Live on YouTube. On Rumble, Zone 864 TV. And on Instagram, Zone 864 Live. And I'm just getting everything together, y'all. Hold on one second here. No, why YouTube is I can see myself on my phone, but it's not letting the live it's not really letting me get into the live stream like that. So I will be using my other channel here, which lets me know that they're being funny. They're being a little bit funny with the algorithm. Let's see here. But it's all good. We're going to get started here in a second. We're going to spam the chat right quick. We're going to get some engagement going here in the chat artificially. Okay. And I will say that if you are watching on Instagram, please make sure that you hit the link in the bio. That is going to take you to the main YouTube page. It's going to take you to the YouTube page that we're on right now, live, because I know Instagram turns off after an hour. So when this is over, just click the link in the bio and it's going to bring you to YouTube, which is where we are right now. But y'all see the title. I was actually supposed to do this live stream a few days ago, but been busy running around trying to keep things together on the grind all the time. And so that's one thing about being a content creator is that, when you are a content creator, you have to make sure to carve out, the right kind of time to, do your content, because a lot of people want to become content creators, but, you got to put in that work. You got to put it in. That's the only way you're going to be successful. And then not only being just a content creator, you got to put in the work to get monetized. See, a lot of people want to just create content and go viral, but you got to put in the work to become monetized. And then when you get monetized, then that's really where the real work begins, because now you actually getting paid. Now you actually getting paid by YouTube to make content. Now, the more content you make, the more money you make. It's very simple. But here's the thing. YouTube is really finicky with the type of content that they like to pay for, you see. So I know a lot of us, including myself, you know, we like to do a lot of goofy things and troll a lot, you know, but YouTube is not necessarily going to pay you for that. So when you do get monetized, you know, you kind of have to play a little bit more by the rules because, you know, it's essentially a job, you know, and there are policies and procedures, you know, and they apply just like they would apply in a regular 9-to-5 workplace. All right. So if you're watching, whether you're watching on YouTube, Rumble, or Instagram, please hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe button wherever you are, and make sure you hit those notification bells so that you get your notifications every time I go live. All right. But y'all see it. We're going to be talking about Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens. Ben Shapiro calls out Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes. You know, this whole conservative influencers, content creators, you know, they're at each other's necks right now. And I'm here for it. I'm here to get paid off of it. You know, I'm here to get paid off of all the trolling, you know, off of all the fuckery, you know, all of the messiness. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to get paid off of it all. Everybody else, you know, is getting paid off of, you know, weird things, and I'm no different. I'm gonna get paid off of it too. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the content. Everything is fair use. All right. I'm gonna just say that right now. Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. So the first piece of content we're going to be taking a look at is Ben Shapiro speaking at the Turning Point USA America Fest, which is happening in Phoenix, Arizona, something that they do every year. And he wasted no time getting straight to the point. We're gonna go ahead and check it out. Let's go.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's obviously a massive honor to be here at Turning Point USA. It's even more of an honor to follow Erica Kirk, a heroic figure and a true American patriot. I really believe that the best way to judge the goodness of a man is to see the goodness of his wife and his children. And on that measure, Charlie was unsurpassed. Erica and her children are in all of our hearts. And of course, this is an incredibly bittersweet moment. It's absolutely bitter because of the murder of our friend Charlie Kirk, an irreplaceable human being. I knew Charlie from the time he was 18 years old, and I watched him build himself into one of the most powerful exponents of conservatism in America, one of the most powerful coalition builders in American history. But it's also sweet to see the number of people who continue to remember Charlie each and every day and to carry on his mission. Well, today, I want to talk about the future of the country. And the future of this country, this amazing country, relies on the future of the conservative movement. It relies on what TPUSA defines as its core mission: freedom, free markets, and limited government. And most of all, the future of this country relies on truth. This country relies on truth because victory, true, real, lasting victory, cannot be achieved without truth. Victory without truth is victory for a lie, and that is no victory at all. And unity without truth is no unity. It is merely solidarity in falsehood. You see, we live in a chaotic time, in a time when lots of people are asking lots of legitimate questions about the conservative movement. What ought we to think about the relationship between free markets and traditional virtue? How should we craft a pragmatic foreign policy that spreads our interests and upholds our ideals? What governmental means are appropriate to achieve political ends? All of these questions aren't new, of course. They've been asked for as long as human beings have been talking about politics, thousands of years. And over the course of this conference, you'll hear a lot of opinions on a lot of these questions. I have my own perspectives on them, of course. You can hear them every single day on my show. My fundamental values have been the same for 25 years. Peace through strength on foreign policy. Traditional values on social policy. Free markets with regard to economics. But today, I want to talk about something even more important. How to discern those attempting to speak truth from frauds and grifters.
Okay. So he's building up to his point. He's building up to what he wants to say. But like I said, we're only a few minutes in. And like I said, he has wasted no time getting to the point. Please make sure you guys hit the like button. Let's go.
Because something is new. An informational environment rife with both opportunity and chaos. Opportunity because the legacy media gatekeepers are no longer in charge of what we see and what we hear. And chaos because an anarchic informational environment means we actually have to be smart in how we assess the information and arguments that we hear. Why does that matter? Well, because today the conservative movement is in serious danger. It is in danger, not just from a left that all too frequently excuses everything up to and including murder. The conservative movement is also in danger from charlatans who claim to speak in the name of principle, but actually traffic in conspiracism and dishonesty, who offer nothing but bile and despair, who seek to undermine fundamental principles of conservatism by championing enervation and grievance. These people are frauds, and they are grifters, and they do not deserve your time. And they are something worse than that. A danger to the only movement capable of stopping the left from wrecking the country wholesale. So today, I want to discuss 5 obligations that people who speak to you on matters of importance have to you. I want to speak to you about our duties. Our first duty is truth. We owe you the truth. That means we should not mislead you. It means we shouldn't hide the ball. We shouldn't be deliberately obscure about what we're telling you. We have an obligation to clarity and to honesty. This means that we actually have to be clear in the language that we use. We should not traffic in generality. We should not say things like, they shot Charlie, without specifying whom we mean by they. The person who allegedly shot Charlie Kirk, and whom all the evidence points at, all of it, is a gay, trans-loving furry.
Make sure you guys hit that like button. Let's go.
If we are going to target ideological movements, we should talk about the fact that the radical trans movement treats all those who oppose it as existential threats. Or if we're going to talk about the Democratic Party making room for the radical trans movement and echoing its inflammatory rhetoric, well, we should talk about that. Those are specific problems, and they require specific responses. When people say they shot Charlie, however, they are instead trafficking in vagary that results in increased hatred without proposing any effective response. They are fostering despair and rage, and that makes things worse. We must also be honest about what people say and do, regardless of what that means coalitionally. It is the job of politicians to build coalitions. It's the job of those of us who try to shape public opinion to hold politicians to account and to hold them accountable to our values. We must not let fear of audience deter us from telling the truth. We must not let fear of other hosts deter us from telling the truth. So, for example, if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk So, if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk casting aspersions at TPUSA and the people who work here, who worked with Charlie every single day, his best friends, to cast aspersions at Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colvin and Blake Neff and Tyler Boyer, and yes, at Erica Kirk, and to imply or outright claim complicity in a cover-up over Charlie's murder, to spew absolutely baseless trash implicating everyone from French intelligence to Mossad to members of TPUSA in Charlie's murder or a cover-up in that murder, then we, as people with a microphone, have a moral obligation to call that out by name.
Ben Shapiro can say whatever he wants, but trust me, Ben Shapiro definitely has his own flaws that he needs to be called out for. And that's the problem that I have with a lot of these so-called conservative commentators or content creators, whatever you want to call them, influencers. To me, all of them are on the same level. Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, whoever, they're all on the same level because they're all going at each other. They're all tearing each other apart, and I'm loving it. And I'm here for it. Let's go.
Erica Kirk and TPUSA never should have been put in the position to have to defend themselves against such specious and evil attacks, particularly in a time of mourning. And the people who refuse to condemn Candace's truly vicious attacks, and some of them are speaking here, are guilty of cowardice. Yes, cowardice. The fact that they have said nothing while Candace has been vomiting all sorts of hideous and conspiratorial nonsense into the public square for years is just as cowardly. Second, because we owe you the truth, we owe you the duty to speak out of principle, not personal feeling. It should not matter whether we despise someone or whether we love someone. The question is what they say and what they do, and whether those things are morally decent or not. On a political level, do they foster freedom, justice, and prosperity? On a personal level, do they treat others as they would wish to be treated? Personal feeling is not a substitute for moral judgment. To take again the Candace Owens situation as an example, friendship with public figures who say or do evil things is not an excuse for silence on the matter. Politics is not the sisterhood of the traveling pants. Politics is about principle, and if you are willing to sacrifice basic truth and simple principle in favor of emotional solidarity, you have betrayed your fundamental duty to the American people.
That includes you too, Ben Shapiro. That includes you and your company, the Daily Wire, too.
First off, I should break the omerta here and just be a little bit clear. The notion that people in our industry are close friends, like we all take holiday breaks with each other and go to each other's kids' graduations and stuff, is generally untrue. Some people do that, most of us don't. We see each other at conferences and we talk on the phone and all the rest. We're business colleagues. But even if it were true that other public figures were our best friends, our very best friends, that does not relieve us of our duty to speak out of principle and not to cover up evil or shy away from addressing it out of friendship. So no, Tucker Carlson, it is not an excuse to go silent on Candace's targeting of TPUSA. Personally. The same holds true of Megyn Kelly, a person I consider a friend, characterizing Candace as a young mother and thus shying away from condemning her actions or fibbing about them. That is a non-starter. Meghan Markle is a young mother. Ilhan Omar is a young mother. That doesn't matter. And when Megyn said this week, quote, "My goal and my job here is to try to understand, yes, where Candace is coming from on this," and says she sees no purpose in inserting herself, quote, into this on one side. That is a moral and logical absurdity. There is only one moral side here, Erica Kirk's side. You know, the side of the widow with 2 children, whose husband was shot live on camera in front of all of us. Friendship with the person accusing TPUSA of a cover-up of Charlie's murder is no excuse for cowardice.
Imagine being able to build an app with your...
Okay, so we got a commercial break. So you're watching, please hit the like button. Also hit the notification button as well. I'm sorry, hit the subscribe button and the notification button so that you get the notifications every time I go live, whether you're watching on YouTube, Rumble, or Instagram. So we are simultaneously live streaming tonight. This stream actually will not be left on YouTube. This stream will actually be taken down from YouTube after this live stream ends. So you will only be able to see the playback, if you want to see the playback, on rumble.com.
Third, and relatedly, we have a duty to take responsibility for what we say and do. If we hire awful people, we're responsible for that. I have some experience there, as you might suspect. That means that if we offer a guest for your viewing, we owe it to you to ask the kinds of questions that actually get at the truth. If we agree with the guest, that's fine, but we should own it. So, for example, if you host a Hitler apologist, Nazi-loving, anti-American piece of refuse like Nick Fuentes, you know, the Nick Fuentes who said that the Vice President of the United States is a, quote, fat gay race traitor married to a Jeet. The person who said that Charlie Kirk was a, quote, retarded idiot. The person who said, and pardon my language here, it's his quote, that he, quote, took Turning Point USA and fucked it, and that's why it's filled with groypers. If you have that person on your show and you proceed to glaze him, you ought to own it.
Yo, the fact that he even used the word glaze is hilarious to me. You just see what I'm saying? Like that is just hilarious, man. You know. And you know the funny thing is, like, there's been countless, you know, I'm trying to choose my words carefully. Ben Shapiro has brought a lot of questionable guests onto his platform, the Daily Wire. They've interviewed a lot of people that I guess you could say would not be liked. The same way that people want to bring Nick Fuentes onto their platforms because they know that Nick Fuentes, whether you like him or not, it's going to bring them a lot of views. It's going to bring them a lot of money. And Nick knows by going on these different platforms that he is going to benefit off of going on these platforms. So my thing about it, just me personally, like, and I understand, you know, he's trying to take this righteous approach, you know, as if, you know, he's the savior of the conservative journalism movement, influencer movement, whatever you want to call it. The fact of the matter is, anybody, if you have a YouTube channel, a platform, whatever, a website, you can bring whoever you want to bring on your show. You know. So that's the funny thing, is that just because you bring somebody on your show, it doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with anything they say. That's the whole purpose of someone bringing somebody else, a guest, on their platform, so that you can have the conversation, so that you could get the dialogue to try to figure out, okay, how did this person become the way that they are? Why do they think the way that they think? What molded this person? What shaped this person's views to get them so far left or so far right? Like what happened there? So that's the only thing, you know, as far as what Ben Shapiro was saying, you know, I don't really agree with that, man. Just because you bringing somebody on your platform, it doesn't mean that you're glazing them. And just because somebody brings, you know, somebody like a Nick Fuentes on their platform, or anybody of Nick Fuentes' ilk, and they don't challenge them the way that you would challenge them, or that the way that you want them to be challenged, it doesn't necessarily mean that they stand with that person, just because the line of questioning would be different. You understand? Well, let's go.
There is a reason that Charlie Kirk despised Nick Fuentes, and indeed even chided Dinesh D'Souza for debating him. He knew that Nick Fuentes is an evil troll, and that building him up is an act of moral imbecility. And that is precisely what Tucker Carlson did. He built Nick Fuentes up, and he ought to take responsibility for that, just as he ought to take responsibility for glazing pornographer and alleged sex trafficker Andrew Tate, or for mainstream.
No, Nick Fuentes was already built up before Tucker Carlson. You see, Nick Fuentes was the biggest name before, I guess you could say, Tucker Carlson. Nick Fuentes was the biggest name that Tucker Carlson was the biggest name that Nick Fuentes interviewed with before he got with Candace, before he got with Piers Morgan. You understand? So Nick Fuentes, before those interviews, he already was kind of a low-key household name. He already was kind of a known popular name in, you know, political circles, conservative circles, you know, when it comes to, you know, the stuff that Nick talks about. He was already on. He was just banned and shadow banned and kicked off certain websites. You know, and obviously he's been let back on some of these platforms now. So yeah, everybody is going to be seeing a lot more of him because he's back on. But in my personal opinion, it wasn't Tucker Carlson that rose Nick Fuentes to popularity. Nick Fuentes was going to be on with or without Tucker Carlson. Nick Fuentes was going to be on with or without Candace, with or without Pierce. So yeah, I disagree with that.
Streaming fake historian and pseudo-Nazi apologist Daryl Cooper as America's best and most honest popular historian. Hosts are indeed responsible for the guests they choose and the questions they ask those guests.
Now, I definitely agree with that. If you have somebody on your platform, you are responsible for the way that the guest conducts themselves. If you allow the guests to be disrespectful, you know, if you allow the guest to, let's say if you have a platform where you don't want profanity used, if the guest does that, you know, you're going to be responsible for that. So yeah, I will definitely say that whoever's show it is definitely responsible for whatever the guest does on the show. You know, and if it's just a bad interview, don't air it. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to air an interview just because you interviewed somebody.
Fourth, because we have a duty to truth, we also have a duty to provide you with evidence of the claims that we make. Emotive accusations, conspiracy theories, and just asking questions, that's lazy and stupid and misleading. None of them are a substitute for truth. None of them are a substitute for evidence. So, when Candace Owens says, "I don't know, but I know," that is retarded, and we are all more retarded for having heard it.
Now that statement is hilarious. I will definitely agree with him there. You know, Candace Owens, the thing that, and she's always been this way. She's just not, you know, being this way right now. She's always been this way. She has always conflated factual information with conspiracy. That's the number one thing that Candace has a problem. Candace has a problem staying the course. You know, she does say a lot of ridiculous things for clickbait, for clicks and views. She does. So that's the thing that's a big strike in my personal opinion that Candace has against herself, is that she doesn't know how to just chill out and give her opinion and give her candor on what she's talking about. She always has to go extra with it.
When Steve Bannon, for example, accuses his foreign policy opponents of loyalty to a foreign country, he's not actually making an argument based in evidence. He's simply maligning people that he disagrees with, which is indeed par for the course from a man who was once a PR flack for Jeffrey Epstein. Check the record. Our duty to provide you evidence means we actually have to do much more than just ask questions. Just asking questions is something my 5-year-old does, and it's really cute when it comes from my 5-year-old. But when grown men and women spend their days just asking questions without, seeking answers, they are lying to you. In fact, they're doing something even worse. They are seeding distrust in the world around you, and they are enervating you in the process. So, for example, if many speakers, including Tucker Carlson and others, get on stage here at TPUSA and claim, without proper evidence, that Jeffrey Epstein was running a Mossad rape ring being covered up by the Trump administration, they are not actually uncovering a conspiracy or effectuating a solution. They are claiming a special provenance to information they won't let you see, which builds their power and leaves you with none. They are also implicating in their speculation actual human beings, good human beings, like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi, and yes, the President of the United States, even if they're too cowardly to say President Trump's name.
Okay, I think I'm gonna end it right there. That's basically his rant on what he had to say about Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes. Now, we're going to get into what Candace had to say, because Candace fired back. You know, Candace can't keep her mouth shut. You know what I'm saying? You know, Candace fired back. She had to say whatever. She had to say what was on her mind. So make sure y'all hit the like button. Let's take a listen. Let's take a listen and see what Candace had to say about what Ben Shapiro had to say about her when he was speaking at the what was it? What was this event called? America Fest. Yeah, America Fest. All right, hit the like button. Let's go.
But I'm showing you this because it's important for you to understand that this has never stopped. I want you to imagine if you view yourself to be a slave owner and that slave not only survives like this public whipping, but that escapes and becomes successful. That's pretty much my relationship with Ben Shapiro since he's fired me, because.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, hold on, let's see what else she has to say.
They have not stopped. They have.
Okay, yeah. She's basically saying that because she used to work for the Daily Wire and she got fired. Ben Shapiro fired Candace from the Daily Wire because, she was saying a lot of things about a certain community. And, Ben Shapiro is of that community. It rhymes with shoes, it rhymes with shoes. And they didn't like it. So basically they let her go. But let's hear what she got to say about that.
Have not stopped. I am talking about people working behind the scenes to call advertisers, attempting to bankrupt me in courts, sending undercover interns to stalk me. He has issued thus far 3 court proceedings, okay, for every solitary petty infraction against things that I say. He's worked with Barry Weiss behind the scenes to have articles written about me. It is non-stop. I refer to this, just to be clear, as legal abuse. It's legal abuse. And I have put up with a lot of it. I have put up with the pettiness of even suing me because I interviewed a USS Liberty survivor who mentioned your name as you pretend that you care about free speech and debate. I've put up with a lot of it, but today I draw the line. I draw the line with this miserable imp when it comes to Charlie Kirk. Okay? Don't try me on this, but you keep trying me on this. You are an imposter, Ben. You're an imposter. You pay to pretend that you're friends, that you have a right to be on that stage because you get donors to pressure people, because you know Jewish people who can threaten to take money, or you say, I'm going to do an advertising spend. Here's $1 million. I'm sorry, you're dead. The entire world knows that you are an imposter. I mean, you're so much of a fraud that essentially what you do is you have people send around clips to grown men to cheer you on, to pretend like the audiences love you. You staff audiences with people that work for YAF who are told to explode into cheers when you hit the stage because you don't have the confidence anymore to go out into the world because you know people see you for what you are. And so exactly what he did yesterday. We can now listen to what this imposter said as he hit the stage. Charlie Kirk's organization, the one that he built for debate, if you have a disagreement, and he instructs people here in this speech to go after me and Tucker Carlson, right? That's what he's going to do. He wants us deplatformed. So he's going to attack me, he's going to attack Tucker Carlson, and he's going to attack Megyn Kelly because she's at the beginning of what these people have put me and Tucker and Charlie Kirk through. Take a listen to a portion of what Ben had to say.
So, if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk casting aspersions at TPUSA and the people who work here, who worked with Charlie every single day, his best friends, to cast aspersions at Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colvin and Blake Neff and Tyler Boyer, and yes, at Erica Kirk, and to imply or outright claim complicity in a cover-up over Charlie's murder, to spew absolutely baseless trash implicating everyone from French intelligence to Mossad to members of TPUSA in Charlie's murder or a cover-up in that murder, then we, as people with a microphone, have a moral obligation to call that out by name. So no, Tucker Carlson, it is not an excuse to go silent on Candace's targeting of TPUSA. Or to mirror her bullshit lines of questioning because you love Candace personally. The same holds true of Megyn Kelly, a person I consider a friend, characterizing Candace as a young mother and thus shying away from condemning her actions or fibbing about them. That is a non-starter. When Candace Owens says, I don't know, but I know, that is retarded. And we are all more retarded for having heard it.
Well, Ben, when it comes to you and having worked with you, I just know the tactics that you use to feign popularity in the public. I just know the amount of money that you are willing to spend on advertising to inflate your numbers to make people think that you're popular. So, yeah, I don't have to say we don't know when it comes to you. You are such a joke of a little man. Your jealousy against Tucker, your ability to believe that you can keep manipulating the markets. You know those kids booed you on that stage. The amount of messages I got from Turning Point USA people saying, what is happening? Why is he on this stage? Standing against everything that Charlie believed in. That's what you're doing. You're standing against everything that Charlie believed in because you weren't his friend. He didn't like you for that very reason. I look at you and I just think you are such a little worm. I could see you right now, probably. What can we get out to her? We're going to sue her into bankruptcy again, right? Sue her for every infraction, every word that I don't like, and every time my feelings are hurt. Because what you really believe in is Baal Berith. That's what your people believe in. You believe that you are contract lords and that people are not allowed to violate contracts or you will ruin them for years. You fire someone and you effectively stalk and harass them for years after. I'm here to let you know that I'm done with it. I am done with it. This one is so fully off of the mother effing plantation. Truly, Ben Shapiro, fuck you and the midget horse that you rode in on. And I say that on behalf of the world.
Well, okay then, Candace. Say it with your chest. All righty then. Well, well, well. You know, and I don't know if y'all can see it. Well, y'all can't see it because of the way I have the video, but hell, Candace has a cross right. She has a cross right behind her, which is hilarious. She has a cross right behind her. Let's hear that. Let's hear that one more time. Let's hear that one more time.
Let you know that I'm done with it. I am done with it. This one is so fully off of the mother effing plantation. Truly, Ben Shapiro, fuck you and the midget horse that you rode in on. And I say that on behalf of the world. I know.
Well, damn. Well, damn. Ben Shapiro, are you sure that you are ready for this fight, my fellow? Because, you know, I can assure you, in my personal opinion, you know, if you're talking about going toe to toe when it comes to commentating and when it comes to, you know, this content creating shit, the streaming shit, you know what I'm saying? Candace, hands down, is laying a smackdown on you. She's laying a smackdown on everybody. You know, she got what, 75,000 people watching her every single day. Every one of her videos does 1 million or better almost every single day, every time she goes live. You know, and I don't really follow I don't really watch Ben Shapiro like that, you know what I'm saying? Like when he says something like what he said at America Fest, you know, I'll you know, tune in to see what he's saying, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you're going to be able to, you know, mess with Candace the same way, Ben, that you did the first time. You know what I'm saying? You had the leverage over her because it was your company, you know, the Daily Wire. You know, she worked for you. So obviously, you know, you were able to fire her, you know, and then Candace went and does what she does and now she's back on. Well, yeah, though, man, that was hilarious, man. Let's hear what else she got to say, man.
No, you're going to get applauded by Konstantin Kisin and Andrew Christ is King Clavin and all of the people, the men who have to keep applauding what you do like you're a 4-year-old to make you feel good. But the rest of the world can't stand you. You're obnoxious. You have absolutely no values that exist outside of the Talmud. You describe yourself as a Talmudic Jew. And I've learned what's in that Talmud, and I encourage other people at home to learn what is in that Talmud so that you know what Ben thinks of you, because he doesn't just hate me, he hates you too, white men. He hates all black people, okay? If he's following the rules of the Talmud, I mean, when I say hates, they think that we're animals, that they have a right to own us, that they have a right to make us worship them, that they have a right to lie to us, that they have a right to sue us and take everything that we have, that they have a right to deceive us, that they have a right to treat Charlie the way that he treated Charlie while he was alive, only to then try to defraud the population into thinking that he is somehow a part of his legacy, that he somehow cared about Charlie Kirk and cares to protect the people that are working at Turning Point USA. Goodbye, Ben. Goodbye. The question is, how much more money is Ben Shapiro going to spend to make people think that he's popular?
I want to dedicate this to Ben Shapiro on behalf of Candace Owens, right? And I'm not siding with Candace Owens, but you know, I just got to get this out. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. And I'll take this special memory. All right, I'm not going to hit that next note. I gave y'all enough. All right, and that's all y'all going to get. All right, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Let's go.
How many more articles is his father going to write under a pen name, Hank Berrien of the Daily Wire, under the pen name Hank Berrien, as he wrote while Ben was at Breitbart before he turned his back and betrayed them too, because that is his nature. He's one of these belly creatures, sliver on. The question is, how many more weeks and years do we have to keep pretending like Ben Shapiro is relevant? It's an open-ended question. Of course,
Ben Shapiro is not relevant. The only time he's relevant is when he's talking about Candace Owens or when he's talking to Megyn Kelly. The only time Ben Shapiro is relevant is when he's talking to other people who are relevant. So I will definitely say that. Ever since Candace was fired from the Daily Wire, the show ain't been shit. That network, that little thing that they got going on, the Daily Wire ring, the show ain't been shit since Candace left. And that was, in my personal opinion, that was the worst thing to do, was to get rid of, because you ain't shit now, in my personal opinion. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, I definitely agree with her. Ben Shapiro, he's not relevant. He's relevant to people who, I don't know what they see in Ben Shapiro. Like, he's probably relevant to like 60-year-olds and 70-year-olds. Retired people. But yeah, I definitely agree. Ben Shapiro is not relevant at all. I follow a lot of conservative, and Republican and right-wing stuff, let's say on X, right? Nobody talks about Ben Shapiro at all. Every day, people talk about Nick Fuentes, people talk about Tucker Carlson, people talk about Candace Owens. No one talks about Ben Shapiro at all. The only time people talk about Ben Shapiro is when he's on somebody else's platform, running his mouth about somebody else or something that he doesn't like or something, you know what I mean? Like some type of girl shit, Ben Shapiro, every time I hear him talk, he sounds like a female chipmunk to me personally. Every time I hear him talk, that's what I hear. And that's another reason why I can, I can't stand, like, bruh, Ben needs to start taking some of those hormones that they give the trans people. When the women want to become trans men, Ben Shapiro needs to start taking some of those hormones that they give to the women who want to become men, the trans men, so his voice can drop a little bit. Because every time he talks, man, he sounds like a female chipmunk. Let's go.
Followed Ben Shapiro on stage, somebody who Charlie Kirk loved very much and who he fought for to the very end against the Jewish donors who were pressuring him, some of them because Ben Shapiro insisted that they do. Take a listen to what Tucker Carlson had to say when he hit the stage.
The prediction that, at some point when Republicans took power again, which I did everything I could, to help, and really felt that was important. I still think, I was right. But I really thought that the impulse to deplatform people, or even to use the word platform as a verb, which it's not, it's a noun, don't steal my nouns, deplatform and denounce. Why haven't you denounced somebody else? The whole Red Guard cultural revolution thing that we so hated and feared on the left that we did everything we could to usher in a new time where you could have an actual debate. I mean, this kind of was the whole point of Charlie Kirk's public life. And I think that he died for it. I really believe that. And I know a lot about it because the last several months of Charlie's life were devoted in part to arguing about this event, in fact, this speech, in fact, my speech here, which he asked me to do earlier this year, this summer, and was immediately put under just immense pressure from people who give money to Turning Point, I would assume good people, but who wanted him to take me off the roster. And this has all become public, and the whole thing is so sad that I never talk about it, except to say Charlie stood firm in his often stated and deeply held belief that people should be able to debate, and that if you have something valid to say, if you're telling the truth, you ought to be able to explain it calmly and in detail to people who don't agree with you, and that you shouldn't immediately resort to shut up racist.
That is Charlie Kirk's true legacy.
And see, that's another thing too, right? When Biden and Kamala were in the White House, you couldn't say anything. You couldn't really give your own opinion about things. Like even if something was factual, Like you really couldn't say anything because you risk losing your Facebook page, your YouTube channel. You know, back when it was Twitter, people were getting shadow banned, taken off the platform. It's a lot of bullshit. And it's funny now that the Republicans are in power, the conservatives are in power, right? It seems like the conservatives, to a degree, want to do the same thing that the Democrats and the liberals want to do. Now it's like, if you're a conservative and you're saying something that they don't like, oh, deplatform her, deplatform him. Let's get this person banned. And see, that's that shit I don't like. You see, I don't like that, man. My thing is, if you can't take what somebody's saying, then stop listening to them. Because when you tell somebody not to listen to somebody or not to support somebody, guess what's going to happen? People are going to listen to that person you telling them not to listen to more. They're going to support that person even more. And it's going to make you look bad because you shine a light on it. See, if I don't like something that somebody's saying, or if they just always on some bullshit all the time, I just don't listen to it. I don't even really talk about it. And if it comes up in conversation, then I will directly address why it is that I don't support them. But I'm not going to say that other people should support or listen to a person, because they're their own people. They have their own mind. They have their own fingers. They can search and click for whatever the hell they want to search and click for. But I'll give my valid reasons. And if people choose to change their minds because of what I'm saying, then I've done my job. But when you try to tell people, oh, yo, take this channel down or do this, that, and the third, people are just going to support that person even more that you're trying to tell them not to support. Well, let's go.
That is Charlie Kirk's true friend, just as I was and am and will continue to fight and ask questions about who killed Charlie Kirk. And to people that are at home, I implore you to wake up to these people who believe that they are contract lords. I challenge Black Americans to wake up to your true history, because your quarrel is not with white men. Okay? Wake up.
Yeah, Candace, we're not trying to hear any of that bullshit that you're talking about, because you spent a decade plus talking down and speaking bad about Black people. So don't sit here and try to, tell Black Americans what we need to believe in and who's our enemy and who's not our enemy, just because you have fallen out with the people in your circle, with the people that you deal with. You should have been, all of this shit that you're saying right now, you should have been saying a decade ago. But what you wanted to do was you wanted to say a bunch of things to try to appease basically white people, to try to appease your zaddy on behalf of the coons like you, because that's what you are, Candace. I can agree with what you're saying, but I can also keep it 1,000 with you at the same time. I can say, yeah, when Candace says this, she's right about this, but I can also say, yeah, but she has talked crazy about Black people. So just because you say something that's right, it doesn't make me forget the dangerous rhetoric you were spewing about Black people, about Black Americans in particular, because I don't know if y'all know, Candace Owens is she's Caribbean. She's a Black Caribbean woman. She's a Black Caribbean woman who came to America, and she's made disparaging remarks about Black Americans while living in America, while Black American ancestors fought and literally died for everybody else to come over here. Black American ancestors literally made it possible for integration. My ancestors, because those are my ancestors that you're talking about. These are my people that you're talking about, because I'm from South Carolina. Okay. And see, here's the funny thing. I'm actually Caribbean. My father is Caribbean. My grandparents came over to the States in 1968. But my mother's side is foundational Black American. Or even the term before foundational Black American, Native Black American. And you understand, and I grew up in a Caribbean household and an FBA household. And I would never try to speak down on foundational black culture when I know that it's because of what foundational black Americans did. That's the reason that my grandparents were able to come here. Even though I'm part of the foundational black American lineage, I know because of what my foundational black American ancestors did, that paved the way for my father's parents, my grandparents, to come over here to the States in 1968. And so I was raised to a degree in a pro-black household. Not only was I raised in a Caribbean household because my grandparents raised me the first part of my life, but then I was also raised by my foundational black American family. So I get to experience blackness all around. And it's never been in my DNA to talk bad about black people, to speak down on about black people. Because one thing that I know, especially my grandfather dedicating his time to working with foundational black American children, going into these ghettos and helping out the children that are less fortunate. And I was with my grandfather every single day when he would tutor these children and help these children and give these children rides home and all of this kind of stuff. One thing that never crossed my mind, it never crossed my mind to speak down on black people. It never crossed my mind to try to make a mockery out of black people, whether they're foundational black American or not. It never crossed my mind. How could it cross my mind when I, as a young boy, am seeing myself as them? And that's the problem with Candace. Candace never saw herself as a, I guess you could say, a black person, a black woman. This rhetoric that Candace is speaking, oh, black people, black Americans, the white man is not your enemy. White people are not your enemy. The system of white supremacy, and I want to make a clear distinction. When I say the system of white supremacy, I'm not necessarily talking about white woman, white man. I'm talking about a system, because you could be a black person in the system of white supremacy using that system to destroy and hinder black American people, foundational black American. You could be a Hispanic, you could be an Asian in the system of white supremacy, and you can use your ability to try to destroy, to try to slow down any progress that black American people are making in America. So you don't necessarily have to be white when I speak about the system of white supremacy. You could look like me and be a part of a system of white supremacy. You could look like me and be a white supremacist, because it's about the mindset and it's not necessarily about the skin color. And this is what Candace Owens doesn't understand. And this is what she never understood. She's saying this now because Ben Shapiro and all of her detractors are coming at her about remarks that she has said, which, by the way, content creators, this is why you can't be online saying dumb shit and being goofy, because somebody's always going to call you out on the shit that you said. You can't say something and then think that somebody's not going to call you out for something that you said. If you say dumb shit, you're going to be called out for dumb shit. That's just what it is. That's why every time I turn on this microphone, every time I get on this internet, I make it my job to make sure that, I give credible information. I make it my job to know what I'm talking about. And if I don't know what I'm talking about, then I research, or I will ask somebody that knows more than me. So nah, Candace, we not trying to hear all that. And I'm not trying to tell people they shouldn't listen to Candace, because if Candace is saying something that's worth reviewing, I'm going to review. I'm going to eat off Candace just like everybody else is eating off Candace. I'm going to eat off Ben Shapiro, Turning Point, Charlie Kirk. Just like everybody else is eating off that, I'm going to do it, because everybody else has eaten off black people for so long and just left us with the crumbs. So anytime that these conservative influencers, content creators get to beefing and going back and forth and talk. Hell yeah, I'm gonna cover that shit, and I'm gonna enjoy trolling the hell out of all of them. I'm here for the crash out. I'm here for the fallout. There's no feelings over here. It's not personal. It's business. It's not personal. It's business.
Up to who publishes these books and keeps us warring with one another. Christians versus Christians, right? Christians versus Muslims. Wake up and learn the true history of slavery, because that wasn't exactly a white men sport, okay? Jewish people were the ones that were trading us. Jewish people were in control of the slave trade. They've buried a lot of it, but it's there and you can find it. And I think all of us need to wake up to this, because it's making me absolutely sick that he is so bold that he dare sit near Charlie Kirk's chair, that he dare grace that stage when Charlie Kirk knew exactly what Ben Shapiro was and will always be. So again, on your belly, Ben Shapiro. We'll be back.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, especially if you are a so-called black person. All of this beefing and stuff that Candace has got going on with the Jews and all of these other black content creators, you know, speaking about the Jew. I'm gonna tell y'all what, foundational black American people, and even to my righteous black people. So to my foundational black American people and to my righteous black people, all of that, you know, speaking about the Jews stuff and thinking about the enemy, that ain't got nothing to do with us. Everybody participated in the slave trade. It wasn't just the Jews. The Arabics participated in the slave trade too. Other black African nations participated in the slave trade too. So the way that I see it is, you know, if Jewish people participated in the slave trade, we gonna need some reparations from them. If Arabic people participated in the slave trade, we gonna need some reparations from them. And if these African nations that sold our ancestors into slavery off the western coast of Africa, if they participated in the slave trade, we gonna need some reparations from them. And anybody else that participated in the slave trade, we gonna need some reparations from y'all too. And that's just the way that I see it. But when it comes to this online stuff, stop making people's personal vendettas your personal vendetta. Right now, black people in America are actually in a good position right now. Now, am I saying that we're above other groups? No. What I'm saying is it's a lot of stuff that's going on right now. You got these deportations happening. You have, you know, the conservative and the liberals going back and forth with one another about who's right, who's wrong. You got these MAGA people out here, you know, whining at Trump and all of this kind of stuff. So the only thing black American people need to do, foundational black America, is mind your business. Mind the business that pays you and build. That's what we need to be doing right now. We ain't got, unless you making money off of other people's business, you ain't got time to be worried about nobody else's business. Now, me, I'm gonna keep my nose in it. I'm gonna stay abreast of everything that's going on, because this is what I does. This is what I do. Okay, I make money off this stuff. But if you a person that go out here in society, you have a 9-to-5 job. Don't y'all be at y'all job talking about Jewish people this, Jewish people that. Leave that shit alone. Leave that shit online. That ain't got nothing to do for y'all. In fact, I'll even quote a line that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said. He once said that he told black people, don't worry about the Jews. If you want to be successful, you need a Jewish Jewish business plan. If you want to be successful, you need a Jewish business plan, and that's all you need. And I rock with that. But all of this, the Jew, nah, I'm off that. I'm more concerned about what are black people, what are foundational black people doing? What are righteous black people doing? That's what I'm more worried about, because they not stopping my progress. They don't got nothing to do with me. If I don't get something done, it's because of me. If something is hindering me, it's because I haven't figured something out, and I need to figure out how to get past that hindrance. So that's one thing that I just want to warn y'all about, that, because y'all will watch Candace and a lot of these other, you know, conservative content creators and you know, they get to talking crazy about Jewish people and other groups of people. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Nah, that ain't got shit to do with y'all. That's just content. Let them dig their own graves and bury themselves in their own graves, because the tide is always going to turn, man. And with that said, I think I'm going to wrap this live stream up. So whether you're watching on Instagram, Rumble, or YouTube, I appreciate y'all watching me. This replay will only be available on rumble.com. So rumble.com, Zone 864 TV. Make sure y'all subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, Rumble. I appreciate everybody that joined me tonight. And I will see y'all next time. Peace.